So as I continue working on making this my workshop, one of the problems I have is I'd like to be able to utilize this space, but it had been consumed with my dad's storage items, which are mostly implements for his tractor. A lot of them he doesn't even use very often. Two of which are that flat spade and the post hole digger. And the pallets on those are about the same size, and I think I can stack them. So that's the orientation that I think will be the end result. I'm going to quick try and hobble together my concept to see if I can stack these two, and basically the idea will be you stack them, and then that has enough room up top to go under the mezzanine over there. And if you ever need to use the top item, you just bring it over to the lift here, bring it up, slide that out, then you can do whatever you need to do. That's the idea. I think it'll work, but I need to find out. So I'm going to hobble together a quick concept out of some scrap wood from another implement my dad was going to try and store in here, but fortunately it's way too big and he knew better than to try that. So I took the pallet wood off of that, and that'll be perfect for me to prototype this. And maybe it'll just work and I'll be done, but I'm going to put together what I'm thinking. And I think the concept is going to work. Basically all I need to do is put a 2x4 that goes straight up on both sides, and this will be of course at 4 places along that is sitting on the bottom pallet, goes up. There'll be a side one to add a little bit of support that ties into everything to make it a little bit more stable, and I'll screw them together. And then there'll be one post across to stabilize everything, and then this pallet sits on it. Probably it'll need some cross bracing of some kind, but for right now I'm just going to do it without, see how it holds up, and add bracing as I need to. Something that needs to be considered with this project is how heavy this upper pallet is. These pallets were built and designed for what they were holding, not for double what they were holding. Fortunately, my lift here has a relatively accurate weight gauge on it, and right now, when you have weight on it, right now it measures 1,100 pounds, and that's counting the weight of the arms themselves, which are about, I believe, 500 pounds. So it's really about a 600-pound pallet right here. So that needs to be considered in how much it's holding below it. And each 2x4 can support 600 pounds, but I'll have 4 of them with a second 2x4 holding it, and that'll help brace it in this direction. And I'll probably end up adding a few more casters to the bottom of that one since it'll be the prime mover now. We'll see what I can do here. When this pallet came to us that I got all this wood off of, it was pretty beat up, and a lot of these are no good, but I think there's enough good sections in them still that I can get the materials I need. I can't really put the beam here, it'll be in the way. I need to have room to get to the mounts for the 3-point hitch. So I'm going to basically push it back as far as I think is reasonable, and that should help make this still pretty user-friendly when you need to get in here and do work. Because ideally, you'll be able to get the lower implement off the pallet without taking the upper pallet off. I'll play with it, hopefully it works, and if it's really annoying, we'll go back to the way we did do it, because I'm not destroying anything, I'm just adding stuff. So that's now up and out of my way, so I can continue working here and just put this all together. Now, I have one of them little pocket hole things, and I'm gonna attach these that way. Pretty simple setup. So now it's a matter of putting these on. I'm going to screw this together now. If this was not supported with this main member here, this kind of a screw would not be appropriate. You need something that actually has some shear strength to it. But because the main support here is held on by this 2x4 and it's just pressing down, everything else is just supporting it. So I'm not afraid to use these as my structural screw. but they're not structural, so don't think of them that way. Each one in shear, and I think in pulling or in tension, or however you want to think about it, pulling out of the wood, is like 60 or 80 pounds, because I looked into that when I was building my overhead shelving, how I could use these in that effort. So the reality is it's much more. I've tested it, but that's what I'm going to be using. Don't waste your time with any other screw. This thing is absolutely the best. You don't have to pre-drill anything. It very seldom splits any wood when you're driving them into 2x4s or things like that. They're a little bit expensive compared to alternatives, but just buy these guys. And if you buy the right size, it pulls itself together nicely because it's got a nice flat to get through the first 2x4, and then it'll do all the pulling into the other one. Now the trick here, I want to have everything tight and pulled together. So I'm going to do the two that are on this outside piece to bring that in. And now I have that nice edge. I'm going to clamp this a little bit higher up. It's already pressed pretty well together, but I'll drill those in and then I'll tie it together so that everything is nice and tight. And since the load is going through here, it's the most important that this board and this board are in close contact so that none of the load is unnecessarily being loaded into the screws, because really they're not doing much more than keeping everything touching in the right orientation. What I will do though, because it's loud using these impact drivers, put on some hearing protection. Now down here, I am theoretically transferring some of the load from this sideways. This particular board is more for stabilizing the inside one and giving it, keeping it from bowing, but also helps it from wanting to tip one way or the other. So there is some structuralness to this, but I'm going to put 4 screws here so that it has lots of strength. All right. So here you can see the logic on how I clamp this all together. Now to get this side to line up nicely, I have it clamped here across this edge. That clamp is keeping that from going in. That clamp down there is keeping this board up, and I actually have it slightly above the other one, so I can make sure this gets nice and tight, and then I can remove that clamp and get that one in nicely as well. Okay, in theory, I'm done. So let's see if my concept works. Currently not on anything. Honestly, that feels pretty stable. I'm liking this. I think though, for safety, I'll add a little ramp on the insides of this one because it's quite close. You know, it's right on the edges. So I'll add a little ramp or something so that it kind of falls into place at the end. But beyond that, this is looking pretty good. 2 things that need to happen yet. I'm going to need to give some markings on where to line these up so that you are able to get in here right and it's not too much trouble. And that'll be mainly for my dad because he doesn't like this idea. He's not too familiar with how to use the lift because it's mostly something I use. So if I'm not available to help him out to get this down, he needs to be able to have a, kind of a dummy's guide for how to do this. But I think overall this is going to really work. Just have to add a few more little odds and ends. Yeah, that made it a lot easier. I'll play with this for now, but I think maybe you'd want some other material on it because the wood will just grab it and it can kind of hold like it did a moment ago. But for now, I think this will work. But maybe I'll put something more slippy, a little piece of plastic or something. I'll add a little bit of bracing where it makes sense, and then I think this thing is done. Oh, and I think I'll add 2 more wheels to the bottom of this. I haven't tried rolling it around yet. Got to check that. Okay, not gonna lie, bracing was a good idea. That feels a lot more stable. You know, it's still gonna wobble a little bit. It's not perfect, but if there was a big earthquake or something, yeah, I'd be concerned. But for this, it's totally acceptable. Should I go for 3 high? I'm gonna add the wheels to the middle. That's 3/4. 3/4 by 35. Okay, I'd feel a little concerned if there was an earthquake now. This is fine. Everything is fine. Okay, so I'm gonna add one more set of wheels in here. I'm gonna find something that's the right dimension, throw that across. Looks to be 3/4 by 35. I'll see what I have in my scrap wood. You ever wish you didn't commit to something? Two's good enough. So I do this so often that I actually have a dolly wheel template. Right now all the wheels that we use are from Harbor Freight dollies that we take off of them. This edge here indicates how far it needs to be away from the side of a pallet. The holes you have to drill out are pretty big, so you gotta pre-drill them. Now that's official. Now this can hold 1,500 pounds by what Harbor Freight claims. Well, see what happens. It's actually nicer to roll because it was always annoying having to push on your feet, but there's plenty of friction here, so I can just pull right on this. Oh yeah. I'm proud of myself on this. That saves so much space. So let's bring it back out and put the finishing touches on it. Oh my God, just that alone is so much nicer. It's such a pain pulling that out from the bottom. Wonder if I'll tackle my cardboard boxes over there at some point. What I'm thinking here is I'll basically have an arrow on here that says align roughly here, so that when you rotate these arms out, you kind of have it in line with that. And same thing back here. And then on the top, I'll basically mark some spots. I'll have an area that's like the color of maybe the red there, so that you line that up. And then I'll have another one where it's color coded, so that you kind of have an idea of where you want to try and line this up, so that then this isn't too far back. So let's see what I come up with. So I think this makes logical sense. Line that up. Line it up for there, but anywhere on this side will be fine. And the red goes with the Mohawk lift color. Okay, okay, okay. And that matters because once this lifts up, the only way to rotate these anymore is you have to pull these up, and they're a pain in the butt. You can do it, but it's just not ideal. So from this point of view, now you just use it. I think I'll want to add them up here, because then when you're done with the implement, you might be going from a different perspective. You might be starting up here and whatever. So I'll add that then. No, I'll add that now. Okay, now it's there. So you go there. Got that one. And now continue on my way up. Look at that. Now, conceptually this works. I still need to hook it up to the tractor to make sure that lifts. Should I have done that sooner? Yes. So this works exactly like this. Not great. I did not think about that you have to remove the top post on these things because, yeah, it's hard to get off that new hydraulic one that we have to begin with. So that's a whole other problem. But without taking this off, I absolutely could work it on there. I went and reviewed one of my older videos where we put this on from the pallet, and it was a two-man operation. It was kind of a pain to get on. I think if you had some kind of sliding part in the back here for the back of the auger so it could kind of slide forward more easily, or you could simply take this off and then it's not really a big deal. You just take it over to the lift, pop it off, leave it there. You don't need to do anything with it, just leave it be and bring this out. Not the intended operation, but that would work, and it's quick and easy, and then there's no problems getting any of this on. Either way, for now, I'm going to add some little saddles so that we can put both of the augers themselves on one on either side. And for now, I'm just going to put this in the corner and be done with it because I got other stuff to work on, and I know I can get it off if I need to. I'm going to call this a mostly success with a little bit more work needed. All right, now I got to get that back on. That's how it's done for now. I'd like to do something with that post hole digger in general, just to make it easier to hook up. Maybe make some kind of sliding thing, make that easier. I don't know, I'll think about it, but that's for another day. Or you just have two people. Well, it's a bit of work, but the materials were free. It took me half a day's time to make this. And although I'd like to make it a little bit better, I'd say this was a success and worth it. I got 23 square feet of space back in my shop because this stuff is intended to go in my dad's new building when it's done, but we haven't even started that. Hopefully that'll get done within the next year, but for the time being, I've got some space back in my shop and hopefully I can make use of it. So that's all I have for this video. Have a good one.